Same for art.
Who is the most perfect person in the world? Well, I can assure you such a person probably doesn't exist in this world. Then who is the most perfectionist person in the world? It's probably Serim right here, because this is someone who thinks that if it's not perfect, it's nothing. And that thought has made her life very difficult. Our next speaker is going to tell us her story about how perfectionism made her life so painful and gave us some tips for procrastinating perfectionists.
Second place and last place are the same. This sentence is something my father has been telling me since I was very young, and it's probably the sentence that has been stuck with me the most in my life. Taking a cue from my father, I've always believed that anything less than perfect is meaningless. I chose to do nothing rather than be vice class president. I chose to be absent rather than being late. I threw away drawings I didn't like without finishing them. I chose not to take a test if I wasn't 100% prepared for it. My life has been a series of stressful choices between all or nothing, because to me there are only two options: perfection or meaninglessness. So the biggest problem with this extreme mindset is that the pressure to be perfect makes it hard to get started on anything. So I had this morbid procrastination that I put off things as long as I could until the last second of the last minute. I've always lived with it, but once I got to university, it became even worse. So there have been countless nights where I've stayed up late, staring at the blinking cursor on my computer screen, unable to get started because of the pressure to produce perfect results once I do. Under the growing pressure, I eventually chose to run away, and this situation was repeated, which ended up taking a total of 4 leaves of absence from school. Because anything less than perfect is meaningless. But I couldn't put it off any longer, so I went back to school for the spring semester last year. And I made one promise to myself and my family: no matter what, I would never quit, even if the results were terrible. For me, the biggest challenge in finishing a semester has always been exams. I always set hard to stick to goals, like review each lecture 10 times. And I would never get started, feeling afraid that I couldn't make it. So I would procrastinate, and eventually give up in tears. Because anything less than perfect is meaningless. But this time, I decided to take a different approach. I broke down my hard-to-stick to goals into very simple, small tasks. For example, I broke down writing a 500-word paper into 10 small tasks of 50 words. This way, I changed seemingly impossible goals into easily achievable tasks, so that I can start without feeling overwhelmed or intimidated. So, at first, I started with just writing down 5 words. And the first 5 words led me to write another 5 words. And then I realized, maybe anything less than perfect is still better than quitting. And for the midterm, this way worked. I did not give up, and I had gotten amazingly good grades in all of my classes. However, that's where my anxiety started all over again. I began to feel pressure to keep up the good grades, and I started to procrastinate, as I used to do. And guess what? I did not show up for any of my finals. None of them. My professors called, texted, and emailed me to ask what was going on. But I couldn't say. I tried to be perfect, but ended up doing nothing. So I just played that. I didn't reply to anyone. I just hid. And that's how the semester ended. After that happened, I went back to school this semester. I took this English speech and debate class and was assigned a life lesson speech. So I sat down in front of my computer again. And I had this idea again, that I want to do it perfectly. And then I realized, oh, if I do this again, I'm going to end up feeling overwhelmed and scared and not getting anything done. So I punched myself in the head. And I told myself, anything less than perfect is still better better than nothing. So instead of staring at nothing on the screen, I just wrote a random word. And that was perfect. And that one word led to me right now, here in front of you guys, giving this speech. My whole life has been filled with unattainable goals and getaways that solve nothing, because of this false proposition. Now I know that I have to get rid of this sentence in my life, or change it this way. Anything less than perfect is still perfect. Thank you.